I was asked to remind you that next week is the Polio Plus Committee is putting on the program, so everyone in the club is asked to wear purple, and if you don't wear purple, bring your money. Be prepared. Next, I would like to ask Jack Wilson, then Dan Chenoweth and Dixie Schmatz to come up for a few announcements. Next, I would like to ask Bill Moniger to come up. It's the Did You Know Day. I just want to give some recognition to Teresa and Jeff Beamer. They were at Centera Friday night for the Tennathon with the Interact kids, and it was not fun.
It would be a whole lot cheaper for you if you just invited me to preach once in a while. You never do that, so you will pay today. And you don't need to worry about wearing purple next week, because by the time I finish, I will have all the money. So.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Steve Johnson. For those of you that are new, he was a member of the Rotary here from 1991 until 2009. And welcome back, Steve.
Thank you, Jim. I didn't give you a bio because I was kind of worried about what you might say. And he knows me too well. So I want to speak with you about a couple of things today, and I appreciate the invitation very much. It's good to be back. I sure miss this club a lot. A couple of things I want to share with you are kind of related. First is the budget process in Larimer County and some of the fiscal issues that Larimer County is facing. And secondly is a very important decision that the commissioners will be asking the citizens of Larimer County to make this fall, which is how do we adequately fund one of the most important responsibilities of local government, and that is public safety. The county is in really good fiscal shape compared to other units of government. The county depends upon property taxes. This is our overall budget, our total budget of about $310 million, and you can see that 30% of our overall budget is from property taxes. Cities depend mostly on sales taxes. The state depended mostly upon income taxes. But we depend on property taxes, and they've been a little bit stable, perhaps a little bit down. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. We also have some sales and use taxes. The thing about sales taxes that's important with our budget is they're all designated for specific purposes. We have a general fund budget, which is where most of the property tax goes. $75 million goes into the property taxes raised in Larimer County each year. And that goes into our general fund, which is roughly about $100 million. This little graph shows kind of where those property taxes go. The county's border there. The schools get over half of it. Cities get some of it. There's a couple of other districts, so hospital districts, et cetera, that get the rest. But you can see of the county share, the biggest part of our budget is public safety. This chart here kind of shows what our projections are for revenue coming into the county. 4 years are shown here, 2010 on the left, 2013 on the right. And because we're based on property taxes, our revenue is fairly stable for a 2-year period of time because property is reassessed, reassigned a value. You probably just got that in the mail last week, every 2 years. This reassessment process that we're going through right now in 2011, that brings our tax money in 2012 and 2013. We were expecting an 8% decline. So how are we doing more with less and still maintaining our services? This chart shows a couple of the biggest counties, most of the biggest counties in Colorado. And most of the big counties in Colorado are borrowing out of their reserves. They're spending money out of the reserves to maintain their general fund spending. Larimer is the little short bar down there. We're not borrowing out of our reserves at all. As a matter of fact, the reduction that we made in this budget year, we put that money into reserve. One other way that we're making do with less revenue is shown on this chart. And we have undertaken a number of efforts and measures in the county to be more efficient with tax dollars. This shows the savings from several different initiatives that we've done in the county, how much that will save over 5 years. These are just a few of the things that we've done to be more efficient with your tax dollars. We've also changed the county budgeting process. How do we invest your money? And I have to say that having been one of the 6 people that writes the state budget, the county is way ahead of the state government in how it does its budgeting. And that's not a compliment to me. This was set in place by previous commissioners. But we do something called a performance-based budgeting because me as a taxpayer, I want to know that I'm getting value for my tax dollars. So that's what we do. We start with the results we want and the price we're willing to pay. rather than the programs we have and the costs we incur. And that's how government traditionally does budgeting. They look at what the programs they have in place, how much more is it going to cost next year. So this process is really a lot like how we as consumers shop, if you think about it. We only buy those services that can deliver the results that we want. And how do we know we're getting those results? As a part of this process, we're measuring the success, the outcomes of every one of the services the county buys. Because if you don't measure something, you don't know whether you're getting value, and you don't know if you can improve it. Transparency is a big word in government budgets right now. You hear that a lot. The state is putting all of its checks online, for example, so you can see what the state government is spending its money on. It's a big buzzword right now. And transparency is important. It's kind of the foundation, but it doesn't really tell us everything we need to know. So what we're doing is going beyond transparency and trying not just to give the information, but also to give information that's useful. So let me give you an example. Let's say I went to the grocery store last month and I spent $150. Transparency, you could look at my checkbook and see the check for $150. This month I went to the grocery store and I spent $100. Transparency, you could look and see that check. So you might think that I'm doing a good job, that I'm economizing, that I've cut my expenditures at the grocery store. But value will tell you, maybe when I went with the $150, I bought lean meat, fresh vegetables, but then the next month, the $100, I bought candy and donuts. So, you know, transparency doesn't really tell you what you're getting for your money. So what we're doing is developing measures in the county so that we can see and you can see what you're getting for your money. It's not just how much we're spending, but are we buying something that's of good value. This is a sign that's in our budget director's office, and I really like it because it points out that this is a culture change for government. This is not the way government is used to thinking. But our county government is very much bought into this change at all levels. Because, you know, if you don't change the system, you're going to keep getting the results, the same results we've always been getting, right? I always wonder why we elect different people to Congress and we just seem to keep getting the same budgetary results in Washington, D.C. If you don't change the system, you're not going to get different results. So instead of just focusing on doing what we've always done and complying and keep doing what we're doing, we now focus on performance measures. Are we getting what is of value to our citizens? So we've set out 7 service areas in our budget process, 7 responsibilities. These are what we hear from our citizens that they want county government to do. What we do is something that I've never really seen any government do. Within these 7 service areas, there are the things that we purchase, okay? Like public safety, we purchase the operation of the jail. We purchase patrolling our roads, the sheriff's patrol officers. We purchase the district attorney services. So within each one of the 7 service areas, we ranked, we prioritized everything that we do within those areas. Which one of those programs or which one of those things that we buy in those 7 areas gives us the best value, gives us the most results for you as citizens. So that's a little bit about our budget process. And the reason I gave you the background is because we have an issue that is very important in the county that we will be going to the citizens for this November, and that is how do we adequately fund public safety in Larimer County, specifically the operation of our county jail. And you may know that there is an issue and a concern with the operation, expenses and costs of our county jail and how we do that. The voters passed these 2 sales taxes a while back. They're each 0.2%, so they total 0.4. And they had 2 purposes. One of them was for the construction of the Justice Center, the building just north of the county courthouse where the courts are now housed, and a couple of other county facilities associated with public safety. That sales tax expires in 2010, the end of next year. There was another sales tax, also 0.2%, which constructed an expansion of the county jail. And they did something pretty smart with that sales tax. They said, we're going to have that sales tax pay for the construction of the jail, but you know, a lot of times government builds something and then they don't have the revenue to operate it, so they didn't make that mistake, fortunately. They set money in that sales tax for the construction of the jail and also for the operation of the jail. But that sales tax expires in 2014. These bar graphs, each one is a different budget year, shows the source of the money that operates the jail. The blue part of the bar is the property tax. the general fund money that we pay to operate the jail. The red part of the bar is the sales tax, the 0.2%, the construction and operation sales tax. And you can see in 2014 the red part goes away if we do nothing. The costs of operating the jail don't go away. So if we don't have that sales tax extended, we have to increase the blue part to make up that difference, about $7 million, which means we don't print money in the basement of the courthouse, thank goodness, like Washington does. So we would have to take that from somewhere else, other programs, if we didn't deal with extending the sales tax. The other thing to notice the bar on the left. The red part is about 40% of the total cost of operating the jail. They were right. But as you move along in time, you can see that the red part is a smaller and smaller part of the operational costs of the jail. So this chart kind of illustrates the problem statement. Here's some of the things that the sheriff has done to operate the jail efficiently. First, our incarceration rate. How many prisoners do we have in the jail? Are we putting people there we don't need to? We have an incarceration rate, one of the lowest incarceration rates in the state, and lower than the national average as well. And a lot of these things contributed to that. The average daily population, you can see from 2005 at a high of 513 is down to 469. We have an alternative sentencing unit. The commissioners just recently spent $10 million out of reserves. Remember, we're not using our reserves to prop up our general fund. We're saving money. So we built an alternative sentencing unit, expansion of the jail, $10 million. We didn't borrow a penny. We didn't go and ask the citizens for a penny of sales taxes because previous commissioners and we had built up reserves. So what's the benefit of alternative sentencing? Alternative sentencing is much cheaper than having someone in the jail. Depending on where they are in the jail, it's like $80 to $100 a day to keep somebody in the jail. Alternative sentencing is like $40 a day. So we think this is a good deal. So here's our options. One, we can do nothing, and I showed you from the chart that we don't really think that's an option. The other alternative that we'll be coming to you and having a discussion in our community about is extending that sales tax, those two sales taxes, which would be 0.4%, using that money to operate the jail. I think it's important to point out that we are not considering any new taxes. We're not considering increasing taxes at all. This is, we're only going to ask the voters to continue, probably for a 15-year period of time, those taxes that are expiring.
I appreciate the opportunity. You've got a very good relationship between your Board of County Commissioners and your Sheriff's Office these days, figuring out how we work together, and as Commissioner Johnson mentioned, with the other folks involved in the system, how are we doing the right things, keeping our eye on the ball. And the important part you saw there was we were focusing on public safety, not on running a jail or patrolling the roads. It's the outcome there. And I can truly tell you the outcome, if we lose the funding source for the jail, if it dries up as this tax expires, truly we'll see the ability to hold people who need to be held, who have committed offenses, people who are dangerous. It really goes out the window. And the concern that we have is, keep in mind the county jail is responsible for everybody arrested. Estes Park, Loveland, Berthoud, Fort Collins, Wellington, anywhere in the county, it's our job to hold on to those folks. So truly the work of some very amazing folks out there, the public safety, police officers, state troopers, deputy sheriffs, and those working within the court system is thrown out the window, because we all know, and everybody here's probably a parent or can relate, if you don't have consequences for actions as you're raising your children, we've seen those people that would threaten their children. If you don't do this, something's going to happen. If you don't do it, something's going to happen. The jail is something's going to happen. We've got, when you look at really down to less than 500 people in the community, a community of over 300,000, there are our problem core, and we want to make sure we have the ability to have that consequence, because what really happens is the quality of the work that all the criminal justice system does, it runs a risk of being wasted if we don't have the jail funded. We've got the building. What we really need at this point is the ability to continue running as smoothly as possible and running it safely. And it's really as simple as that.
On behalf of the Loveland Rotary Club, I'd like to give you a small token of our appreciation, and also a refresher on the Rotarian magazine. We hope you come back and see us again. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.